And joining us now is Axios Chicago reporter Carrie Shepherd. Carrie, great to have you in studio. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So, Carrie, you know, there's been a lot of focus on this cabinet meeting tomorrow. Obviously, the first cabinet meeting, Elon Musk took a lot of those headlines.
Right.
A lot of the oxygen out of the room. He was answering questions from reporters. And then in the second cabinet meeting, it was also heavy Musk reporting afterward because he was clashing with a lot of the heads of departments behind closed doors.
Correct.
So what do you anticipate leading up to tomorrow in terms of substance and optics as well?
I think the question is if he will even be there, right?
Right.
Because President Trump has been taking some flack from his cabinet heads who have said, you know, notably, I think you talked about it, your reporter talked about it in the last segment there, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, many of whom say that Doge and Musk are coming in and kind of wiping out their departments, and they feel like they're better equipped than someone like him on the outside coming in and saying what they need and who should be removed.
Right. How do you believe the Republicans maybe pivot to acknowledge some of those critiques at this cabinet meeting tomorrow? Do you believe Musk won't be present, or do you think if he is, it'll be handled differently?
I think if he is, yes, hopefully it'll be handled differently. I think that this needs to, I think the president probably needs to show some respect for his cabinet heads and a sort of show of solidarity. I also think that they want to present in terms of optics, as you asked about. They want to present that they're all a united front and that Musk is not, you know, there's this joke that it's Vice President Musk, which I'm sure Vice President Vance doesn't prefer. But I think that there has to be an image that Trump is really united with his cabinet heads and is listening to them and what they think is best for their departments.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did make remarks, to be fair, that it's the department heads that have the final say in terms of hiring and firing. So that's good to hear. In terms of moving forward, you know, when we talk about some of these town halls that are happening on the Democratic side and some of the messaging we're seeing already, you know, a lot of folks at these town halls are voicing frustration with their Democratic leaders, saying, you're not doing enough. You're not pushing back strongly enough. Have you been surprised by some of that outcry and the responses? What do you believe is appropriate here?
I mean, I think I haven't been surprised because 9 weeks in, I mean, we have a story on Axios tomorrow just about the effects of the Trump administration on Chicago and Illinois. And it's, you know, based on threats, eliminations, cuts, funding cuts, job cuts. And, you know, we're talking about 20 plus orders that have affected Chicago and local workers. So I'm not entirely surprised by that, because threats have now become a reality when all these federal workers, many of whom are veterans, are saying, look, I'm losing my job, I'm losing my benefits, I thought I was safe in a federal job. What are you doing about it? Of course, the head of the Democratic Party in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, is sort of persona non grata a little bit. And many people are upset that he voted with the Republicans to avoid, you know, and they think, well, you know, you're not representing our interests best and you're letting the Trump administration do all these things that you campaigned against leading into the election.
Right. And then you have Fetterman in response saying, hey, you know, deal with it. We avoided a government shutdown. That's good for America.
Of course.
So, you know,
And Senator Durbin, I should say, the second, you know, senior senator in Illinois here, he also voted for it. So it's not just Schumer. A lot of leaders in the party voted for it.
Absolutely. So we are seeing, you know, kind of as you outlined, this divide within the Democratic Party a bit on some of these issues. I'm curious because at these rallies, you could call them, AOC and Bernie Sanders are heading them up. And I keep talking to Republicans who go, give me more of this. This is what we want to see, because they do represent a more progressive arm of the party. How do Democrats coalesce around a message that includes the working class and some more moderate Democrats as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Bernie Sanders and AOC would agree that the Democratic Party hasn't been talking to the middle class. That was a problem going into the election. This is something that we are hearing now Governor Walz talk a lot about. You know, he was the running mate of Vice President Kamala Harris, is that we weren't on the same message. We were, you know, we were splintered. And so to say that AOC and Sanders, yes, they are very progressive, but they maybe are speaking to those middle class voters a little bit more. And I think it's just a period now of revamping, and we don't know, like, there are questions, who is leading the party? Who is our leader? Who are we looking to? And maybe this is a chance for AOC to sort of, you know, step into that role. Of course, Bernie Sanders is technically an independent. He does caucus with the Democrats, but that's maybe something for AOC to grab a hold of.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.